So, remember how amazing Taylor Swift's Eras tour was? Like, the biggest concert tour ever? Huge stadiums, incredible shows, millions of happy fans? Well, investigators are now saying something super dark and scary might have been hiding right there in the middle of all that sparkle and excitement. Here's the mega shocking claim they're making. They think that special, super exclusive VIP parties and events connected to Taylor's tour weren't just fun celebrity hangouts. Instead, they believe these parties were actually being used as a secret front, basically a hidden operation, by people connected to the famous music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. How did this supposedly work? These weren't your average backstage parties. They were described as being for the super VIPs only. People who got special red wristbands were the only ones allowed in. It looked glamorous on the surface, fancy, star-studded, exactly what you'd expect for a tour as massive as Taylor's. But investigators say that behind the scenes, something totally different was going on. They claim that these exclusive events, with their special wristband access, became a secret way for people tied to Diddy to find and target young women. How? Well, they say the parties were set up to seem like the perfect place for someone trying to get into the music business, a chance to meet important people, network, maybe even get a big break. The scary part? Investigators believe this networking idea was actually a trick. They say certain people at these parties were pretending to be talent agents or powerful helpers. They'd approach young women, promise them introductions to big industry stars or chances for their careers, and gain their trust because the whole thing was happening at a Taylor Swift event, which seems totally legit and safe, right? It gets even creepier. Sources claim that inside these parties, there were private rooms set up away from the main crowd. Some witnesses even say these rooms had hidden cameras. People would be quietly led into these rooms, supposedly for private meetings or special opportunities. But investigators think these hidden spaces were actually being used for really bad things that had nothing to do with Taylor Swift or her music. So the biggest allegation here is this, that Taylor Swift's incredibly successful, world-famous Eras tour, the tour we all loved and celebrated, was unknowingly used by this alleged secret network as a giant, glittering cover story. They supposedly used the tour's huge popularity, its exciting atmosphere, and the promise of fame to hide their activities and find people to target, right under everyone's noses, including probably Taylor's own team. Basically, they're saying the bright lights and sold-out crowds of the Eras tour created the perfect hiding spot for something incredibly dark happening in the shadows. It's a truly shocking idea that such a positive, record-breaking tour could be connected to something so awful without Taylor or her fans ever knowing. Imagine someone finding a bunch of hidden notes and emails they weren't supposed to see. Well, that kind of happened. Investigators got hold of leaked emails, super private staff instructions from the tour itself, and written stories from people who say they saw things. These papers are a big deal. Some emails talk about meetings where people apparently planned how to use big concerts and events for their own reasons. And guess what? Taylor announced her giant tour right after one of these meetings. That timing seems really suspicious to investigators. Other leaked tour documents talk about special rules for VIP guests and lists of who could get into those exclusive red wristband parties, and investigators think the people making those lists had ties to Diddy. Then there's the brave whistleblower. This is like someone working on the inside deciding to tell the truth. A person who says they worked security at some of these super exclusive Eras tour after parties came forward. This whistleblower didn't just talk about what they saw, they gave investigators actual video recordings. These aren't videos of Taylor or the concerts, but they show something else. The videos supposedly capture important guests being taken into secret, locked-off rooms during the parties. Even creepier, the whistleblower says the recordings caught people talking about how to pick out party guests for what they called favorable opportunities. Investigators think that phrase might be a secret code for something much worse than just handing out autographs. They believe these hidden rooms were key spots for the alleged bad activities. Next, and this is maybe the most important part, people told their stories. Real people who say they were hurt by this operation have started speaking up. One young woman gave investigators a really scary account. She says she was at one of these tour-linked VIP events when a man pretending to be a big-shot talent agent approached her. He promised to introduce her to powerful music people who could make her famous. Instead, She says she was tricked and pressured into a situation where she felt totally unsafe and manipulated. And guess what? Someone else who was at the same party backed up her story. This other person remembers seeing that same man talking to multiple young women that night in a way that seemed wrong. Both of these people told their stories to the police, making investigators take this whole thing way more seriously. Finally, they found a money trail that looks super fishy. This is like detectives following the cash. Investigators have been looking at bank records and financial stuff, and they found some weird patterns. They noticed that after some people attended these exclusive tour parties, they got paid large amounts of money. What were those payments for? Nobody knows for sure yet, but investigators think it looks way too coincidental, like maybe people were being paid off to stay quiet or to cooperate with something shady. They also found huge amounts of money moving around through fake companies, like invisible businesses, that are linked back to Diddy's massive business empire. And get this, a lot of these big money movements happened right around the exact dates when Taylor Swift's tour was in different cities. Investigators are trying to figure out if this money was used to pay for hotels, travel, or other costs to run this alleged secret operation under the cover of the tour. They say the money trail is incredibly complicated, like a giant, tangled spider web. Diddy isn't just new to legal trouble. He's already standing in a courtroom in New York City, fighting against some super serious charges. Prosecutors are accusing him of being involved in really bad stuff like human trafficking, which means forcing or tricking people into situations against their will, and something called racketeering, which is basically like running an organized criminal operation, involving things like blackmail and threats. They're painting a picture of Diddy as someone who used his incredible fame, power, and money to set up a whole system designed to take advantage of people. They call it a predatory system. Here's the really shocking part. Even for people following his case, his own lawyers have said some incredibly bad things about him in court. Trying to defend him, they actually described Diddy with words like dishonest, violent, and horrible. They even called him a promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on his girlfriends. Imagine your own lawyers saying stuff like that about you in front of a judge. That alone tells you how bad things look for him right now. But wait, it gets even more intense. Remember those leaked emails and documents about the Taylor Swift tour parties? Well, investigators are now saying they believe Diddy was the mastermind behind the whole operation they think was using the tour. They call it a shadow operation, supposedly orchestrated, meaning carefully planned and run, by people who worked directly for Diddy or were super close to him. They think he was the boss pulling the strings. Now, here's why these new Taylor Swift tour accusations are like pouring gasoline on Diddy's already massive legal fire. He was already fighting for his freedom against those super serious trafficking and racketeering charges. These new allegations about using the biggest tour on the planet as a cover for bad activities? That's a whole new layer of mega trouble for him. Prosecutors are now digging into whether Diddy's crew exploited Taylor's tour, meaning they took unfair and harmful advantage of it. They think the tour's massive success, its fancy image, and its global reach gave Diddy's alleged operation the perfect disguise. It made everything seem legit and above board when investigators claim it wasn't. The Taylor Swift tour scandal is acting like a giant spotlight suddenly switched on in a dark room. It's revealing ugly things the music industry maybe didn't want to see or admit were there. It's forcing artists, record labels, agents, and fans to ask, is this just one awful situation, or is it a sign that the whole glittering world of music has a seriously dark side that's been ignored for way too long? How many other open secrets are out there? What needs to change right now to protect people? This isn't just gossip anymore. It feels like a turning point. The industry is facing pressure like never before to clean house, be more transparent, that means open and honest, and protect the vulnerable people drawn to the dream of making music. The answers to these huge, scary questions will determine what the music world looks like for years to come. And honestly, we're probably only seeing the very beginning of this reckoning. Buckle up, because this story is changing everything.